You have to apply, when we talk about, many things at school level, that all the three domains, the cognitive, the conative, and the psychomotor, all three have to be in amalgamation so that the output is optimized. So here, some things in a theory. So you see that, one teacher, he was from presidency. So we were attending his, so he said that the teacher, for 9 months would go on with Act 1, Scene 1. And then when the worry begins for the exam, oh, I'm only on Act 1 and Scene 1, but rest of the things, 90% has not been done. So, then, when the exam really happened and rest of it was rushed, through, so obviously the students were a little resentful that, rest of the things, 90% was rushed through and only focus was Act 1, Scene 1 of a Shakespeare play. So then, when they wrote the exam, they found, that how good, the teacher was, that he could go in each detail of Act 1, Scene 1, that the rest of it became, very, very natural to them. So they didn't have any problem with that. So if you do, how do you teach and tackle each subject and the nuances is what matters. The teacher should know what he is able to do and how well he is able to do, so that the rest of the part of the lessons become, a natural flow for them.
Right. In that context, what I noticed is that, in the Japanese system, whenever they have to acquire certain new skills or whenever they have to go for learnings, they go for a practice-based. So which means that continuously, they keep practicing. And also their culture, even though it is primarily based on the culture of India and China, they follow a lot of soft skill sets, Kaizen, for example. So, so maybe Ruchi-san can tell more about the Kaizen. It's like, breaking big problems or big learnings into smaller chunks and then working continuously on each of them. Is that something, or maybe you can correct me. I'm not an expert, but like this, there are a lot of such approaches. Kintsugi is one such approach, wabi-sabi, and so many, please, your comments.
Kaizen, I think it became famous for being used in, I think, some car company from Japan. But I didn't really look into it very carefully.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I do notice that this is more like a basic learning technique. This repeating the practice, repeating practice. I think it's practically useful for basic purpose.
Yes, right. So at undergrad level or even at school level, or when it comes to exam preparations, there is a tendency that their preparation starts at a very later stage. Let's say during my time when I was in undergrad, I used to prepare 1 month before, in most of the cases. With those subjects that were difficult, certainly I followed some continuous practice type of things, but in most of the cases, crudely speaking, our preparations were at a very later stage. So I think there are a lot of things that we can learn from Japan and this one as well. Talking about the higher standards in education, certainly please your comments.
So I think, one of the things that I talk about, last minute preparation and all that, because, in an annual system, what happens is you get a lot of time to soak. So the learning in annual system, I think, is the best. While semester system, you do a semester, it's mechanized, you end up, you do something, but you don't get the time to soak. So I think in education, there's a lot of things to do on reflections. The 3 R's in my class are reading, reflection, and writing. Not reading, writing only. Nowadays it's even more of, I think very limited to say that read and write, because people will submit assignments that are copy pasted or even AI generated. How do you deal with these things? So not on that. What is your reflection? So one thing that sets the criticality part is the critical education, that you should be able to question all the time. So in fact, there was this Physics Nobel laureate who's written a book. When he got the Nobel laureate, people asked him, who is the person behind your Nobel laureate? So he says, it's my mother. He says, why? Mother, is she a teacher? No, she's just a homemaker. So her question used to be, what did you ask in school today? Not, generally mothers will come, okay, what did the teacher tell you? Show me the homework and I will do the mother used to say, you don't tell me what the teacher, what did you ask the teacher? So that became the critical point, that you should be able to ask, you should be able to question, everything that everybody says, you should have a parallel question. I always do that, if a person is saying I'll have parallel questions and parallel my views on that. So I'm not saying I'm a model, but then, that's how. So you should be able to question everything that you're doing, and that criticality, that reflection, I think is a very important, it's very important for higher education. I'm not saying it's less important for school education, as I gave the example, but it is, I think, much more in higher education, because your reflections are the additional to the body of knowledge.
Right. So so we are talking about the higher standards in education, especially in higher education. Higher education meaning university education and
Post-secondary.
Post-secondary. So Professor Swain is with us from NIPA, New Delhi. Keeping the future ready component or the future readiness, how can we maintain the higher standards? From the viewpoint of all the stakeholders, the teachers, the students, and so on and so forth.
Based on my research experience and